Hello, friends. We got an improvised stream for you tonight. And when I say hello, I mostly mean hello to those of you in the future who are watching this archived. Because I posted this with very little notice on a Saturday night. And people probably have other things or plans on Saturday night. Or maybe you're like me and you're sitting at your computer watching random YouTube crap, or maybe you're sitting at your craft table and you are crafting. Either way, watching this now or later, it makes no difference to me. What matters is that you're watching. Although, watching live is a lot more interesting for me, because then I'm not just a weirdo talking to my computer while I make miniature things like a dollhouse. This is my life. So, last stream, I made up these modular sewer tile pieces to fit in between my existing dungeon tile pieces. The test paints I did, I was during the stream. Joshua, what's up, buddy? Old Faithful. Your new name is Old Faithful. Glad to have you, man. Glad you could join us on me and my paint, us, on such short notice. Anyway, last time I painted these up. And I was in a really 1980s neon kind of fueled sort of mindset. And I don't know, I really felt the need to make these as extreme and glowing as possible. And then put them down and ended the stream. Came back and looked at it later. Hey, Demon, Jester, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Sorry I haven't sent you those files yet. I just haven't had a chance, but I will. I haven't forgotten about it. After looking at these later, after some rest and without several beers in me, I realized they were a bit much. So I decided to scale it back a bit, and I've already pre-painted some of these. They're not done, but I decided to base everything like in an olive green and make things a little bit more realistic using this kind of lime green as a top coat. I don't know, just tone it down a bit. It's still comic looking. It's not hyper realistic, but it's not as crazy neon Ninja Turtles style. So I did one totally to completion beforehand, just so I knew what I was doing. Basically, I base coated everything in that sort of olive green, and then I did a wet brush of the lime green that kind of just to blend in, and that's where these ones are at. On this one here, I then did a proper dry brush with the lime green to hit those peaks, and then I gave it a spray with Minowax High Gloss Varnish. Fallon Angel, welcome to the stream, bud. First time watching a live broadcast for crafting. Time to have a brew and watch you work. Awesome, glad to have you. Glad to take your live crafting virginity. That's weird. Let me know what you're drinking tonight. Interested to see what brew you got. Anyway, I coated this in the spray gloss varnish, same stuff I used in the tentacles tutorial, and I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, on the camera, like I have a lot of light above me to make this all work, so they're really, they're reflecting a lot on camera. On the game table, they won't reflect so much, they'll just look wet. I had the idea of masking off the edges and creating a little dam just like I did to protect them when I spray bombed them. And then I thought about like pouring in some acrylic water, some resin, and I think it would look cool and it would give it a nice flat surface. But then I realized that would be a lot of work. It would use up uh, a material that's fairly expensive compared to volume. Oh, excuse me. And I don't think would really be worth it. I have gloss varnish. I just hit it with that. I think it looks pretty good. Nemo Bad. Hello, good evening. Welcome. Having a Bex. Nice. I just bought my wife some non-alcoholic. Well, no, I was gonna get her some non-alcoholic Bex because she's having some illnesses. She can't drink. So I was gonna get her some Bex. They didn't have any, so got her something different. But is this the time in the stream where we introduce you to Black Magic Craft's drink for the evening? I have a nice one poured today. It's one that I've been saving in the fridge for a little while. It's called Arrogant Bastard Ale. It is a strong beer, 7.2%, and I bought it because it has a sweet looking devil on it that reminded me of early D&D artwork, and I'm slowly building up a collection of bottles that I think have spectacular kind of fantasy themed artwork, because when I transition this craft room into the game room, I'm going to do a little bar area, and I'm going to keep a collection of some bottles. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not one of those dudes that's going to put like every friggin' beer you ever drank in a can and it gets all weird and gross. I mean a handful of the ones that have really nice artwork. And this one I think is pretty neat, and it met that criteria. I was hesitant about the taste because it didn't actually say anywhere on the bottle what kind of beer it was, what the flavor was, nothing. Like it doesn't tell you anything. It just has all these little sayings, but it does not say what it is. So it looks to me like, I don't know, it reminds me of an Imperial Red ale. It's bitter, but it doesn't have an overpowering floral hop flavor, which is the thing I don't like. It's actually pretty nice. And for a strong beer, the alcohol flavor is not particularly overwhelming. So next level. Either you're new or you're new to commenting, so welcome, bud. Sunshine today in the Pacific Northwest, drinking some vodka and OJ. It's been really nice and hot here. I don't know if you guys know this, but where I live, the city I live in, is literally the coldest city in the world with a population of over 1 million, or over 100,000, because we don't even have 1 million people yet. We're close. Like, there is no developed major city on this planet as cold as the city I live in during the winter. Like, shit gets crazy. Like, you want to find colder temperatures, you got to go to Siberia, to a little village with 3 people kind of thing. Anyway, like in the winter, and sorry, I got to talk adult numbers here. I can't use American Fahrenheit because what is, like, come on, man, stop it with Fahrenheit. It gets to like minus 40. Like, that's not a big deal in the winter with the wind chill of minus 50s. It's mental. But our summers are hot as shit. We got into the plus 30s. Like, we have a crazy temperature range. Anyway, it's been really beautiful lately. We had an early spring. We broke heat records for the city last week. We also were the hottest spot in Canada last week. It was awesome. So anyways, I'm glad some of you guys are also enjoying the sunshine. But I'm telling you, when it's nice out here, we really enjoy it. Also, this time I cleaned up the this crap down here on the overlay. I got rid of it. I liked it, but give you guys some more visual. We got the chat overlay a little bit smaller, so you can only see a few things at a time. You're gonna notice at certain points in the stream it's gonna move, and that's because it's copying a window that I have open, and I'm just checking back on things. I should open 2 windows. That would have been smart. Let me, hold on. I gotta refigure the intertubes here. We are going to make sure, hopefully this works. I'm gonna duplicate that window. We are gonna leave this one at the bottom, and then I have a separate one that hopefully doesn't mess anything up. So anyway, you guys won't be able to see as many comments going at a time, but we're gonna keep the crafting area a little bit more open. Let me know if you guys would prefer to see more of the chat log at one time. I'm guessing when you guys are watching live, you don't give a shit about it. It's more for the archivers. So, Fallon's drinking a Heineken. Heineken is my go-to beer of choice if I'm somewhere where I'm not sure about the selection. I will enjoy a Heineken. That's one of my favorite lagers by far. And I have fond memories of Heineken because I once went to the Netherlands and performed in a music festival sponsored by Heineken, and they treated us very well, and I drank a lot of Heineken. Cannabis and dungeon crafting shit live. Kick it for a bit. I'm gonna try to minutes on the sun. Hey bud, minutes on the sun. I recognize your icon. I'm gonna give me some of that Elmer's foam core for some super important things that I don't use the crap on. Joshua asks, what dark beer do you recommend that isn't bitter? My dark beer of choice that isn't bitter is by a brewery called Mill Street. I've had it on the stream before. They make a few. They have a cobblestone stout and a vanilla porter. Both are absolutely delicious. They are so creamy and smooth. But I don't know if you'll be able to get them. They're Canadian, they're from Toronto, but by far the best that I've ever had. Minutes on the Sun lives in one of the hottest cities in the U.S., Bakersfield, California. You're like, it's like bizarro land compared to me over there. I could not handle that. People always wonder, how the hell do you live in such a cold place? And I'll tell you what, it's really easy to dress appropriately for warm weather, or for it. Oh, this is strong ale. It is really easy to dress appropriately for cold weather, and it is impossible to. You can only get so naked. Hot weather, man, you can't take anything more off. You're outside, it's miserable. When it's nasty here, yeah, you can't go outside and, sit on a patio, but you can escape it. Like, you bundle up, you get inside, take it off, you're fine. It's also here a very, very dry cold. It's not a wet cold. And when people say that, oh, well, it's a dry cold, that shit matters, because I'm telling you, I grew up my whole life going outside in minus 30, minus 40 weather. Been fine. Put on a parka, you're good to go. I go somewhere that's damp, and I got minus 10, and I'm miserable. It's friggin' awful. So, yeah, I don't know how you could live in a hot place. It is not for me. I enjoy the hot weather once in a while, but the winter's good. Makes you strong. Where is this frigid place? My home, my city, which I love, is Winnipeg, Manitoba. Canada. So for those of you who don't know Canadian geography, we are located directly north of North Dakota. I leave my house and I drive south for an hour. I'm in Grand Forks, North Dakota. We are the exact center of North America, and we are really cold in the winter. I shit you not. Hey Lex, good to have you here. I'm glad you think that they look better like this. I think they look better like this too. So at some point I'm gonna get to some painting, but you can make a book rack using the beer bottles. Look on instruction booklet. It's not a bad idea. The problem is that all the beer bottles tend to be very. There's a lot of variance in the height of them. So I think I'm just, when I redo this room, have one shelf along the top that holds them all. Eric Sheely, welcome, bud. Schmaltz Alt is an awesome dark beer out of New Ulm, Minnesota. MN is Minnesota, right? I think. Excuse my ignorance, but I don't need to know these things. I'm Canadian. There's also Brewing Greenbelt again. Schmaltz Alt. I will try to remember that. Dollar store foam melt in Bakersfield. Yeah, I believe that. Florida, Orlando, 10-year swamp ash during the summer. Yeah. Okay. Should we actually accomplish something this evening? It's good though, you guys are keeping me occupied because I don't have a lot to do here. Basically dry brushing all of these and spraying them. But first, these ones that have the extra crap in them, before I take them any further, I think I need to paint these pieces out so that, I don't know, just because it seems like the thing to do, right? Man, I'm, I guess, on a little bit of an empty stomach because this tiny, like what have I drank? Like a quarter of this bottle? And I gotta admit, I'm feeling it. Okay, I'm gonna give this this sewer log coat of brown. Make the jokes, make all the jokes. Sewer log going to Brown Town. Brown Town. I'm glad so many of you showed up on such short notice. That makes me feel good. I would really like to plan some of these streams further in advance so people that really want to catch them can, can schedule it in their day planners, their phone's calendars. But the reality is, I craft when I can. I don't necessarily get dedicated time to it. It's just, when the stars align and I have a free moment and I'm not too physically or mentally exhausted from work, or I don't have something else that I really have to do instead, come in here and I craft. So I think the best I can give you guys is like a half-hour notice. Although, maybe if we do some kind of real special event, I'll try to plan it well ahead of time and make it a planned thing. Alright, so we got a brown log floating in the sewer. Brown log floating in the sewer. Gonna have to paint up some gray on these rocks. I've lived in a horribly cold place. Prefer my toasty Texas. Lex, where did you live that you consider cold? And I will tell you if that is legitimately cold or not. Because I'm a bit of an expert on cold. Austin. When did you see the ocean last? Are you at, I don't know if that is asking me or guys in the chat. But yeah, I am like, I am surrounded by land forever. Like, I could drive in any direction for 30 hours and not hit an ocean. However, one thing to know is that right near me, like within a 30-minute drive, are two of the largest lakes in the world. We have Lake Manitoba and Lake Winnipeg. One of them is bordering on the size of the Great Lakes. I think might even be bigger than one of the Great Lakes. I don't know. So I'm close to, like, we got lakes the size of oceans. So there's that. Also, vacations, man. When you live in a place as cold as Winnipeg, you get away when you can. And so the last time I saw the ocean was this past January when I was in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. We try to go somewhere nice and warm every winter, at least for a week. Doesn't always happen, but we've been to Cuba several times, we've been to Mexico, so we do hit up that ocean. But there's no shortage of water around here. There are many, many lakes. And nice, beautiful lakes, too. What do you use for the wet look? I will show you. So, for these, I'm using this Minowax polyurethane fast drying spray gloss varnish. It's a high gloss. It doesn't tend to melt styrofoam, which is a bonus. And it looks really good and it sprays really nicely. There is another brand, Varathane, that basically does the same thing. I have some of this left over from work, but it's semi-gloss, so I didn't use that. But the brand's not that important. The important thing is just getting a spray gloss varnish. But I will say the Minowax brand doesn't seem to melt styrofoam. And I did some tests where I sprayed it directly on pink insulation foam that didn't have any sort of coating, not even paint, and it didn't seem to harm it at all. I have not tried that with the other brands, so I don't want to say that that's a universal thing with these things. I don't know, the other brands might melt them, so your mileage may vary. Your mileage may vary. YMV. Man, it took me a long time to figure out what the hell people were talking about when they would explain something, then write YMV. I'm like an old man. I don't understand the internet and things. Anyway, just painting up this rock here. Get a nice coat. Gray on there. Good. Good. Put those aside. Did you caulk your log? You know what? I did get a bit of caulk on the log. Not as much as I should have. So, for you guys that were with me when I was making these, I give you shit because I made a mistake and nobody else caught it. This log here, it's sitting on top of the water. It doesn't make sense. I really should have sliced some of it off to make it look more submerged, or built some more. Well, no, really, that's the only way to do it. I should have. I don't know. It doesn't look right, but I'm gonna say it's just floating. Even though I was thinking more that it was like stuck, but that's how she goes. You lived in Japan and Chicago, Joshua. Man, what was Japan like? Well, one, Japan and Chicago, does that count as cold? No. Um, Chicago, maybe a little bit, but you have no idea. At least I didn't put floating turds. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have gone for hyper realistic and like done some little logs floating, but northern Japan, 6 months of snow, lost my bike. Wait, so two of you lived in Japan? Ah, that's weird. That's cool though. I've always wanted to go. I haven't gone. Would you consider not attaching the logs to the tiles? Yes. The only reason I did that is because I realistically only needed 4 for what I was doing for games. And I decided to do some with some built in. But realistically, you could take the plain tiles and just add debris sitting on top if you have chests or barrels or logs, whatever. I mostly did these two just for fun, but I think the smartest thing to do would just be to make generic plain ones, and then use your regular dungeon dressing bits and just throw them on top. Are you in a band or are you a band manager? I am a musician, and I don't want to say band because all of my projects were basically me on my own writing and composing everything. I would have other people perform with me to backing musicians, but no, I have a lot of time under my belt as a musician. And I talked about it on one of the other streams that this whole crafting thing, the whole channel is it's a bit of a break for me from music because I burnt out a bit on that. So, but anyway, it's about crafting, not about music. Any of you that are interested, if you want to check out my tunes, my main project is called Distorted Memory. Google that shit. I have a Bandcamp page where you can download anything, buy any merch, CDs, whatever, but you can stream everything for free. I have another project called Cake Builder, crazy ass breakcore stuff. So that's that. That's that out of the way. What else you guys talking about? Welcome, Wizard MMG. Glad you like the tiles. So looks like we got a couple English teachers living abroad. I had one friend who taught English in Japan and another in South Korea. I praise you guys for having the balls to pack up and go out and do something crazy like that. You got 2 guys from Texas in here. I gotta say, I've only been to Texas once. It was San Antonio. I was performing there. I was there for 3 days, and it was a really beautiful little town. The Riverwalk was great. I had some excellent barbecue. The people putting on the festival treat me very well, which I can't say about all places. So, big ups, Texas. I've always said I would never ever even remotely consider moving to the States. However, if I did, there's 2 places I would consider moving, one of which is Portland, the other which is Austin. I haven't even been to Austin. I just feel like I would like Austin. So, Kenneth, what's up? What's up, man? Glad you could catch this one too. So, I should do some painting. I'm going to dry brush these with this lime green It's got a really nice color to it. It doesn't really look like lime, if you ask me. It looks more like sewer, toxic sewer. So I'm gonna do these ones first. Normally when I'm dry brushing stuff, like say tiles or just whatever, I'm pretty like just whatever, just messy, don't really care. But when I did my test, I found that I wanted to be pretty careful and try to really only hit the high spots. So I was dry brushing pretty cautiously, we'll say. More cautiously than usual. Like already I can see that this one has too much paint on the brush when I started, so. Yeah, that's too much paint. See, when you get this right here, that's what you don't want. It's too much paint, man. Then it just looks like a blob of paint. Doesn't make sense. It's not hitting any of the features of the thing you're painting. It's just a blob brush stroke. You don't want that. But it happens. It is a sewer. It's okay if it's a little shitty. Oh! Right? One down. Yeah, Lex, I definitely would like to get back down to Texas and visit Austin. As a musician, it seems like a very appealing place. A lot of super progressive stuff going on there by any standard, especially by Texas stereotype standard. I just realized before I gloss varnish this one, I didn't give it any wash. I usually like to put a wash on the things I build, but I didn't on that. But you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It looks fine. Oh, Joshua's stepping into the channel game. Good luck, buddy. I'm sure you will let me know once you have it up what your channel is, and I promise you I will check it out. Portland, every other business is a microbrewery. Yes. And that's why I would like to go to Portland. Among many. And also I love the show Portlandia. And I don't know, I just think it'd be a cool place. Also, if I lived in Portland, I'd be really close to Hankrin from Drunkards and Dragons, and we could play some epic D&D together. Oh, this is some serious beer. This beer is not fucking around, I'm telling you. Half of this beer is hitting me more than I would usually feel after 2 or 3. Ooh, Rhonda Cure, or Rhonda Cure. That's what I'm gonna call you, Rhonda Cure. Hello, doing some demolition at work today and grabbed 5 sheets of 10-foot by 2-foot by 2-inch blue styrofoam. Bam! Nice, buddy. I have a closet full of blue styrofoam 1.5 inch thick that I also demoed off a job. It was like 8 sheets that were 2 foot by 8 feet, so fucking awesome. So guessing we got another construction guy in the house. I'm a contractor. What do you do, buddy? Well, we got our big tile here. Kenneth looked up the music. That was pretty neat. First song on most recent album. Thanks. I'm glad you checked it out. I'm not gonna talk too much about that. Anyone know of a good source of music for ambience that I can use with a cell phone? Like Ron DeCure. Ron, I'm going to call you, moving forward, you will be known as Ron. Ron, you just looking for stuff to play for your games? Or just crafting or whatever? Because, yeah, Joshua said at Spotify, honestly, there is no better place to have free streaming music than Spotify. The trick is finding stuff. So I, as a musician and an avid music fan, I have curated a large collection of music. I've been collecting music my whole life. I have an entire wall of my living room custom built shelving holding vinyl records, and I have thousands, and I love that's what I do when I travel. I go record shopping. Anyway, so that means when I DM, I have some special music selected for the game. And I've been thinking, with Spotify being public, I have multiple playlists for D&D. Like, I have a playlist for, that's like avant-garde, like music concrete, soundscape dungeon stuff that's just drony and weird and clanking. I have a whole playlist of kind of outrun electro horror movie stuff for like kind of upbeat, you're fighting vampires and werewolves. I have that. I have a playlist of neoclassical pagan folk music for when you're chilling in the village or you're setting sail. I have a playlist for just random epic boss fights. Anyway, point straight. I've curated a lot of music that I think would be that I use in my games because I think is really good for D&D. I've been thinking about maybe tagging those in some way, making them public, and sharing them with you guys. Basically, Blackmagic approved D&D music on Spotify. So you would have to have a Spotify account to use it, but I think it would be pretty cool. I'm not saying I'm an expert on music or whatever, and tastes vary, but what I can tell you is that I put a lot of thought into the music that plays in the background in my games. As much thought as any other aspect of DM prep. So maybe I'll have to find a way to share that with you guys so that you don't have to do all the thinking. This tile looks really nice. It's kind of like Whirlpool deal. Looks pretty good. Oh, Braun, you're a carpenter. Awesome, man. Another carpenter in the house. I am a carpenter. My background training is a carpenter, but I'm a contractor, so I do all interior renovations. But my schooling is in carpentry. I think that plays a big factor into the way I craft. So nice to see another tradesperson in the house. I'm getting really sloppy tonight. I'm just hitting the shit. Didn't I say these needed to be dry brushed carefully? Oh yeah. Get this one dry brushed, and then I'm just going to do a bit of painting on the stone and the logs, and then it's basically ready to spray. Although I'll probably do the spray bear thing off camera, like off stream. Just do it later because I don't want to do that on my desk. All right, that's all done there. Okay, let me catch up here with you guys. Joshua Morris, you don't know Spotify? Look up Spotify. It's Netflix for music. It's horrible for musicians and artists because we don't get paid very much from it. However, as a listener, it is the bee's knees. All the world's music at the tip of your fingertips. Do it, get it. I don't know any playlists that are kicking it. Like I don't use other people's. I make my own, so I'll try to make those public. It's definitely worth getting premium. You don't want ads interrupting your gameplay. When you DM, do you ever use music or sound effects in your games? Yeah, man, all the time. Like that's what we're talking about. I always have music going for my games. Sometimes if I'm going to be really focused on, if I want to be really focused on DMing and not worrying about music, I will just put on a playlist that I've made in advance that I know is going to have only stuff that will suit the mood. Sometimes I will actually kind of DJ a little bit while I'm DMing, making sure certain tracks come on for certain things. I played around with a bit with ambient sound mixer, and basically the concept is like making these ambient soundscapes to suit every room. Like if you're in a sewer, having sounds of like water dripping and flowing, and maybe like rats scurrying in the distance, and you can control it live and do all these things. And there's a website that does that, and you can curate your own mixes or use pre-generated like ones that other people have made, and it's awesome. Like when you're sitting there, you can make sounds that sound exactly like the setting that you're putting your players in. The problem with it though is that it is ambient sound, and even if you have a good stereo system in your game room and you have it loud, when you put 6-7 people around a table chatting, playing, passing snacks around, it gets lost, and it never works as well as you would think it would when you're just sitting there listening to it by yourself in a quiet room. So I stopped doing that. It was a waste of time, and now I just try to put on good music for the game. The problem is you got to be careful that you don't make it too good, or your players just start asking you every 3 minutes, "What song is this? What band is this?" So you just want it to set the mood. You don't want it to overwhelm the evening. Well, actually, if you can't find any foam thicker than 1/2 inch in your city, don't worry about it. Honestly, 1/2 inch is the most versatile and best thickness of the foam to use. I use it for all my tiles. Just do 1/2 inch. If you want to do like rock faces or anything that's thicker, you can stack that stuff. You can glue it together. You don't need anything thicker. Searenscapes, is that the app where it's basically like a sound mixer, and then you can like they have battle stuff like with like they have orc sounds and swords clanging and cheers and whatever. I'm pretty sure I tried that app out like the free version, and it seemed like something like the ambient sound mixer, which is better in theory than in reality. So I walked away from that. Okay, Ron, you do rentals in Quebec City, right on. Another Canadian contractor. Sweet, man. I will try to do the playlist. I actually don't know how it works with sharing playlists, but I'm gonna look into that. But it will be curated to my tastes. But it's stuff that I think will work good in most games. Canvas walls are covered in music-related things, not records, but posters, flags, drumheads, CDs. Money well spent. Nice, man. Nice to see other people passionate about music. Kitchens, yep. I do a lot of kitchens as well. Kitchens, bathrooms, basement developments. That's my jam. What made me decide on caulking versus acrylic, liquid acrylic for the tiles? When you say liquid acrylic, are you talking about like acrylic water? You're saying why did I use like a textured caulking instead of an acrylic water? Let me know if that's what you mean, and I will come back to that question. Yeah, caulking is cheap, and Ron knows you always have leftover acrylic caulking if you're a contractor. You know, the last bits of tubes that are no good for any work-related stuff. Good night, Lex. Thanks for popping in. Speaking of outdoor clear caulking, I found a new product that we've tested out at work. It's not a silicone, it's not a latex. It's some other material that I don't know, and the brand is called Lexol, and I have never seen. I'm gonna see if I can get it here. I'm gonna bump my camera probably because the cupboard is gonna hit the camera. Yep. I haven't used it yet in a craft. I want to do some tests, but came across this product at work. It's Lexol sealant. It is crystal clear. I mean, so clear that you can see through the tube, and it's super flexible. It's supposed to stretch to like 800% without cracking. But I want to do some tests with this for a replacement for acrylic water, but I haven't gotten a chance to do it yet. But I don't know. It looks promising. I mean, have you guys ever seen a caulking that's that friggin' clear? And it dries just as clear too from the stuff that we've tried. Yeah, when you're DMing, you definitely don't want to waste time messing with playlists. That's why it's nice to just. What I do is I have playlists, but I ignore the order of the playlist. They're just places that I dump a bunch of music. Like when I find music that would be appropriate, the playlists are categorized, but the order is inconsequential. I put it on shuffle, and then we get down to business, and we play our game. Okay, yeah. So Eric is asking why not the two-part, like basically why not using the acrylic water, and basically because caulking is cheap. You can use a lot of it, get good. I wanted texture. I didn't want just a flat water. I mentioned earlier in the stream that I thought about masking these off and damming them and then pouring water. But I decided honestly, just spraying it with the varnish, it's good enough. I mean, I'm gonna use these for 2 games. Maybe I'll end up coming back to them and using them again later. But these are just a few time use, so I just didn't want to waste the acrylic water. Is that stuff for indoor use? Yes, the Lexel stuff is indoor use. I think it's indoor-outdoor. The reason I found it is that we at work had some trouble with certain acrylic tub surrounds, caulking them. Like nothing wants to stick to them, even silicone, they want to peel off. This stuff sticks like a motherfucker. So we've been testing it out with that. How long does the clear caulking take to set? It depends on the brand. They vary a lot. That stuff I have found takes a very long time to set. Like we're talking 24 hours to stop, to kind of basically set up, and like several days to fully cure. Unlike if you get the GE Silicone 2, it's 30-minute shower ready, and that's our go-to at work for a lot of things. That stuff sets up super fast, but it is not nearly as clear. Okay, so I'm gonna hit this log here. What I like to do when I'm doing wood is take some of this color called fawn. It's just like this nice kind of tan, and I'll usually mix it in with some of the dark brown to do a brush over. Stir this stuff up here. See if we can get this on camera. I put way too much of this. I was being excessive. All right. So gonna go over this, get some highlights up in here, up in her. Don't want to go too crazy with this. I think that's looking all right so far. One thing I do want to do is make sure I get rid of some of this overbrushing of the brown. Oh, that is too bright. Should have done that with the darker green. That is that. Let's move on to these stones here. Good night, Demon Jester J. Have fun at your wedding tomorrow. All right. So, with these rocks here, I still have some gray poured out. We're going to lighten that up a bit with white. I always use a vanilla rather than a pure white. And a nice trick for rocks, rather than just lightening it with the successive shades of white, drop a bit of yellow into your mix. And you know what? I'm going to use this toothpick that has some of this brown on it too. And I'm going to mix that in. Probably too much white, I can already tell. But it's just 2 rocks on these sewer tiles, so I'm not gonna make too big of a deal about it. When I'm doing stuff like my like stone outcropping, like rock cliff faces, I will dry brush probably 4 to 6 coats, each getting slightly lighter and each with varying shades of green or yellow mixed in. The green or the yellow just kind of, I don't know, it tends to make things look a little bit more realistic. Because, I don't know, couldn't tell you why, but it works. See some of that there. I'm being pretty sloppy here, to be honest. I think my painting skills are good as far as crafting goes, but poor as far as like compared to guys who do minis, like Warhammer painters. Alright, so we're going to let that dry up just a little bit. Take a look here. Oh, Alan's in the house. What's up, bud? Tacos. Man, I could go for a taco. Yeah, Fallon, man, check out the, thanks for joining us. Have a good night. Check out the tutorials. They are much better and more streamlined and precise than these impromptu drinking sessions. Okay, so that is good there. We're going to take some of this vanilla, drop a bit more in. We're going to drop a tiny bit into the brown as well. Mixing it up. Don't you hate it when you pour out this much paint to do a tiny bit of dry brushing on one thing? Completely stupid. That's why, Scotty in a lot of the videos, he'll paint out of the paint cap. It's a good way to do it. Just doesn't work when you need to be mixing paint. I gotta learn to squeeze less out. Okay, that's good enough for that. Am I making any sewer grate tunnels or stuff of that nature? I think I will. There is a few encounters in the module that take place in rooms that have some different stuff going on. There's one room that has like 6 or 8 kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, little gathering ponds of water where somebody, a villain, is dipping goblins in to create these mutants from the toxic sludge. So anyways, I think I might do those little, I don't know the word for it, but those little gathering pools. And I might do a few grates for different things. So I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Pardon my rambling. This is a little bit more drunk than I normally am. Okay. You see the rocks there. I don't think I'm going to take it any further. I mean, realistically, I don't need to go too crazy. I might give them a bit of a VATS. Yeah, that's the word that I'm too stupid to figure out at the moment. Sorry, I had to get my wash. It was over there. Yes, VATS. I think I'm going to make a few VATS. I just want to give these rocks a slight wash because I don't like the way rocks look when they've been hit with all these bright highlights and then left as is. I really probably should have given everything a wash, but I already didn't on one of the pieces, so I'm not going to do it on the rest. I just find doing this simple little black wash tones everything down a bit. Kind of blends everything together. I don't know. The difference is minimal, but I think the difference is important. I'm gonna hit this log too. Can't hurt. This piece of wood, I don't mind if it looks really kind of decrepit and gross, because if it's been floating around in a sewer for any length of time, it should look kind of rotten. Ooh, Nelly, too much there. Too much there, buddy. I'm gonna dab some of this out because somebody went a little crazy. Oh yeah, I think that's it. Get the brushes half washed off. Any suggestions for a first-time mini painter? I don't know. Alize, welcome by the way. I don't paint minis. Honestly, I'm still too intimidated by the prospect of painting minis. I guess my suggestion would be start by painting biggies. Paint some terrain, paint some crafts, and then go nuts. And yeah, like Josh says, you can always repaint. Okay, so I think I'm gonna let these dry, and then I'm gonna hit them with the spray varnish, but that I'm gonna do off camera. I'll probably take them outside and do it tomorrow. But I think that's it for tonight. So thank you guys for joining me again on another impromptu Blackmagic Craft live stream. Thank you to the makers of this arrogant bastard ale. This is a good beer. Very, very good. So I think what I'm going to do is spend some time planning out a tutorial video for something. I still want to do that foam core mausoleum, so I think I'm going to make a template. I'm going to make a traditional Blackmagic Craft tutorial video on it, and then after people have seen that, we're going to rebuild it live. But until then, I will probably just join up with you guys live when I'm working on the next thing, whatever that may be. It might be some bats. It might be some random bits for this encounter. But anyway, that's it for tonight. I gotta hit the sack. I got a big day tomorrow of exciting yard work and stuff. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will catch you again next time. Good night, everybody.